What's up, guys? It's Jason from Eustis Roofing coming to you live from a metal roofing project that we come across that needs a new roof system. I'm here to protect homeowners from having a bad metal roof like the one that I'm on. That's my job. And I want to show you guys those details so you don't become that homeowner, so that you're protected. Typically what we see is someone buys a new house or an existing house that's on the market. It's got a metal roof. They're excited because, hey, it's got a metal roof. We're good to go. And what usually happens is, in the industry of roofing, a lot of roofers aren't really good at metal roofing. They're just not. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it takes really quality, skilled guys to do it. And somebody that's actually managing them and working with those guys and has the equipment to do it. On this particular job, this homeowner bought the house, thought they were good to go for a long time because it had a metal roof on. About a month after they moved in, they started having all kinds of problems, and then they started getting roofers to come out and look at the roof. And then they started to realize, oh, they got a nightmare on their hands. They got a roof that has to be replaced. The whole thing has to be ripped off and redone because it wasn't done the right way the first time. And so I'm going to show you guys some of those details so you don't become that homeowner. And here's an example. Right here is where the two roofs tie in together. This is what we call a transition. So the bottom panel stops right about here. Can't go any further because of the rake of the roof, the pitch that we have here. So this panel overlaps, and you only have about a 1/2 inch overlap. And what we see with water is it can turn and get underneath there, and boom, inside the building it goes. And then also we have a screw right here in your vulnerable area. Now, they put caulking everywhere to try to stop that, and it's not going to work. Here is a transition, not a pretty one. It's something I wouldn't install. It doesn't look that good, but at least it's somewhat right. And what that is a piece of metal that runs, and then it's got a break so that it can run up the roof slope, and then the water would have to run all the way up here before it would leak. And so this works. This is a good transition. It's just not a really nice quality piece. A lot of caulking again. And then under here, there's no foam to block anything from getting inside. So you get rodents, insects, all that kind of stuff gets up underneath the panel, so it didn't have the right foam on it. So I'm going to show you guys some other stuff too. One of the main things is there's a lack of screws on this roof too. So hurricane winds, they're going to be vulnerable to that. They don't have enough screws in here. And then another thing they don't have is what we call stitch screws. Stitch screws are super important. They go on all the laps where the panels overlap, and it's a special screw that gets bigger as it goes in. And it's something that you need to have, and a lot of roofers don't understand it. And here's a good example. Right here is a lap that's not done properly, and it doesn't have what we call a stitch screw that goes in here. The stitch screw gets bigger as it goes in, and it holds the panel down on these ribs. They're missing them. Doesn't have any on this whole roof. A few details. My favorite part here, we'll get to the skylight. Listen, skylights are difficult to install on a metal roof if you don't know what you're doing, or if you haven't done a lot of them, or you don't have the expertise or the backing behind you, guys that know how to do it. So this skylight's installed entirely wrong. It actually should, there's a flashing underneath here that should sit on top of the panel. Water runs downhill, you have to have proper overlaps, and this panel doesn't have that. So the water gets under and runs under the panel. And then good old caulking is the flashing on the side. You can see it up in there. Real nice caulking that keeps the water out, and it's not doing a good job because it's still leaking. Look at all the gaps, all that kind of stuff. The chimney here, it's really, really bad. A lot of gaps, a lot of what we call caulking. That's the only thing stopping the water from coming out. It needs a new chimney cap also. So then we're going to come down to the rake edge here, and we're going to show you where what we should have here is an eave closure, and they didn't bother to put it on. And I'm going to tell you guys, I see this a lot on metal jobs where there's no eave closures. This is something you as a homeowner can be aware of, and you can see from the ground. I've even seen inspectors at past jobs that just don't know. They don't know. So here we go. I'm going to lean over the edge here. This is what we call a drip edge right here. This is made more for shingles than an eave closure. And then you can pick the panel up, and all the water and wind are just blowing underneath. There should be foam inside of these to stop insects and wind-blown rain going inside. It doesn't have that. But here's the problem. No overhang, not the proper drip edge, and here's what happens. Water gets behind there, starts to rot it out, then you get all kinds of issues going on, even got some termites going on there. So these are little things that you can see from the ground. You can see the drip edge from the ground. You can see if the panel's overhanging the drip edge. When I make my drip edge, I like to make an 1.5 inch drip edge bullnose, so you get the water way off the fascia and you don't have any issues. So this is just an idea of a roof that you don't want on your house. This is something that is going to cost this homeowner a lot of money and could have been prevented. And these roofs are supposed to be lifetime roofs. This one isn't. It's a newer roof that won't last very long, and they got to get it replaced. So that's what we want to do. We want to inform you. We want to show you guys what improper roofs look like, and especially metal roofing. Metal roofing is something we see the worst as far as not being done right and having a lot of issues. We get these calls daily, and then in the end they have to replace the entire roof.